7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take.
Back on Backstage Pass. I'm Tom Leykis. Thanks for being with us. And joining me now is Rusty Warren. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Tom. It's a joy. It's always a pleasure to do these interesting talk shows. You never know what's going to happen.
You never do. Now, you've been in comedy for quite some time.
Yes, since before you were born, I'm sure.
Oh, boy. Don't tell me that. You had a best-selling record album.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I heard one of your records on the Dr. Demento show not too long ago.
Not well. He used to play them in the 60s a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
he
was
played one
an
recently.
old fan of mine. We used to meet each other in Anaheim a lot.
Did you really?
When I worked California, and he was the only one that could get away with playing Knockers Up or Songs for Sinners or Bounce Your Boobies or any of those early albums that we did in the 60s. And he said, I play them. I don't care what they do. I play them. And he used to do it. And they played them in Canada, but I never got any, of course, the media exposure. It wasn't, in the 60s, it just wasn't allowed. The mode of the country wasn't in that segment at all.
Mm-hmm. Now, your act in the 60s was real risque at that time.
Well, because I was one of the first loudmouth women to admit that we like sex. And I guess I said it before, before women even talked that way. That's just part of where Rusty was coming from at that time. And, of course, I grew up in the piano bar syndrome. That's where I started playing piano and singing. Piano bars, they don't have them anymore, of course, but that's where I started my so-called career. And then, of course, I got away from the piano. I had to leave it because the audiences got bigger than the length of the piano bar.
Now, how has comedy changed since back then? Obviously, it's different. We're not doing double entendre anymore. We've gone leaps and bounds.
We've passed double entendre a long time ago.
Beyond that, yeah.
That's an interesting question. I've been asked it in many, many ways. Since the 60s, and now we're in the 80s. Are you asking for the difference in what we'd laugh at, or the difference because I did sexual comedy?
The difference in comedians, really.
Attitudes.
Yeah, because comedians these days, they start off being dirty, and they see how dirty they can get. I mean, I spent some time in a comedy club in New York over the weekend, and it's unbelievable. They start with the F word and work their way out now.
Well, it's interesting to think that I was called risque, naughty, all kinds of things in the 60s, and never once did I ever use a four-letter word. Forget that word. Any four-letter word, I never have in my act. I've said, oh, damn, and this kind of thing, which was fairly light in those days, but I've been accused of a lot of things, and now comedy today, like you say, is a lot of that. That word is almost an expressive adjective. It says everything because they use it in an F table, an F thought, and they use it just casually. I've never used the word casually. I've used it in anger and never on stage. Because Rusty on stage is a lady. Maybe at home I'm not such a lady, but on stage I have to be because I said the things I did. I had to get away with it. So I always made sure that I looked very well. I was very elegant, and I wore the diamonds and the jewels. Because if you look that way, they say, well, she doesn't mean that. I mean, I could get away with a lot. Today's comedy is there because today's world is so rough. It's so realistic. I lived in a world of fantasy. We grew up from the 60s to fantasize about what life was really about because we're supposed to have not known everything. Today they know everything, and the problems they find is that they want to go back to the fantasy. So the sexual kicks today are all fantasy trips. What everybody takes a fantasy trip.
What are you doing on stage now?
Well, I finished a concert at the Celebrity Theater here in Phoenix in April, and we've been in production of a new video cassette. We have taken it from production to a documentary, and I've recently sold the complete package, which is going to be repackaged for Playboy Channel, and they will be playing it in 1988.
Now, how has your act changed, your own act, since the 60s?
Well, the show I did at the Celebrity is a parallel of what I said in the 60s and how it relates today, and the changes in our society towards sex itself. Sex itself, you say, is oh, well, hello. You know what, nothing shocking. It's not shocking anymore. It's not meant to be. The humor that I find today is that we take the same situation between men and women, and it doesn't really change. Men will be men and women, and the byplay between them is what we find humor in. Of course, it's more outward today and more brash, maybe, more so when I speak about it. But there are parallels. In fact, there's a clip that we'll probably show you before this segment's over, which is part of the concert, which tells a little bit of what I do on the show in relation to the 80s.
Very good. Rusty Warren, we're going to take a look at this clip now. And where was this shot?
This was at the Celebrity Theater here in Phoenix, Arizona in April of 1987.
Take a look at this. Rusty Warren.
Well, we've come a long way since those years. But don't forget, when I first made that album and I first talked about sex many, many years ago, it was improper for a woman to speak the way I did about sex and to say the things that I said on those records. Hell, I admitted to the entire world that we women liked sex. Liked it. We weren't even telling the ones we were doing it with that we liked it. And now today everyone says that sex has changed. To what? What you kids do, move it? Sex hasn't changed, but the way that we deal with it certainly has. There have been some changes in this world that are very unusual, because now that we know how to do it, the world is telling us not to do it. You know, with the herpes and the AIDS, you're taking your life in your hands. Literally, that is. I mean, what are we supposed to do? What are our choices? We only got two: celibacy and designer condoms. Oh yeah, I heard they come in colors. Isn't that cute? You know, it's crazy when you think about it. All these years that I have talked about sex, and here we are. What do the people do that don't have anyone to do it with? You know what they do? They walk around with fancy vibrators. You know, I thought with all these new rules coming up, I wondered if I had to learn a little more before I got back on the stage and started talking about sex. So I did what anyone else would do in my position. I bought a sex manual. Ha, ha. Now, you kids can laugh, but it's the truth. Masters and Johnson. Oh, when that arrived, I was excited. I ripped it open, and there it was, this big book. I looked at it, and I thought to myself, oh, there's a hell of a lot here I don't know. I flipped it over. Now, this is not a novel. This was like a textbook. It had pictures and diagrams and directions. And as I'm flipping through it, it dawned on me. Do you realize, my friends, that there are 849 different ways to do it? I only know 3. But I know them good.
Now, who is your audience in 1987, Rusty?
It was very interesting. The whole audience was comprised of people that have known me forever, plus their kids and some of their families. So we've got 2.5 generations, and there were over 3,000 people at the, or 2,000 or 3,000 people at, I don't know what it seats. We were full, whatever it seats. I don't remember. I think maybe it was 2,000 there that evening. And Waylon Flowers and Madam was also, there was a double bill. And we had people from all walks of life and all attitudes, everything was there. And it was a marvelous audience for both, not only myself, but for Waylon.
Fantastic.
It was a great evening.
Well, it's been so much fun having you here on Backstage Pass
And it's
today.
nice meeting you. I hear you on the radio all the time, and I enjoy you very much. So
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to meet you in person.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
Rusty Warren, and we will continue. Stay right there. We're back here on Backstage Pass. I'm Tom Leykis, and joining me right now is Michael Finney. Thanks for coming around.
Hello.
Laugh it up. It's going to get funny.
Sure it is.
Or funnier. I'm counting on you for that, actually.
Get your pen. Here's my arm. Start counting.
You are a magician and a comedian. Where's the connection between those two?
About halfway in between there. the connection is pure innocence and just a desire to entertain people. I got into magic as a bartender, and then the comedy came from working with comedians, and now it's just a happy love affair.
Do you write comedy for yourself, or
Yeah.
does it just come out of the magic, or how does that work?
No, the comedy now, to tell you the truth, Jay Leno gave me my very first joke. And then all the comedy that I do now is from that one joke, and I've written it myself. I can't afford to buy material from other people. So I just write it myself, and if it's funny, I do it again. If it's not, I try to forget it.
How much of it is improvised?
How much of it looks as though it's improvised is a better question, because in delivering comedy, it has to look as though it's coming out fresh and clean and you're having a good time, and you are. And that is happening for that one time for the first time. So I will say that during my show, there's maybe 20% as improv, you know, off of what the audience, you know, is doing. But 75% of it pretty much is a plan. It's a plan. I know what I'm going to do.
Let's talk a little bit about hecklers. I've noticed that hecklers have gotten...
You know what? I'll tell you something right from the get-go. About 2 years ago, I used to have hecklers. Now I do 45 minutes to an hour. My show rolls really well. I have no dead time, so I have no time for hecklers to jump in on me. Now, there's occasionally, once in a blue moon, you know, you get these guys, it's after dark, it's a Friday, and the teeth come out and the hair gets long and they start talking a different language. Those people, you know, I'll put them in their place right away. I'll go right for the throat. And usually I will let the audience do it, because I'll tell the audience plain and simple, I have a show I'd like to do. But if I have to deal with this heckler, then I can't do my show. Now, what did you pay to see, the show or me cut down a heckler? You decide, and then I'll do whatever you want. Because I can cut hecklers down. I had to do that for a while. Now I don't care to. I'd much rather do my show for people.
You made some appearances on Star Search recently. How did you get involved with that?
Better question than that is, why did I get involved with that?
That's a whole other issue.
I auditioned. Everybody wants to be seen on TV. So I auditioned for Star Search. I waited. Methodically, I plotted this thing out, and this was a goal, and I felt I was ready to go on there, and I felt I was ready to win. I could win Star Search. So that's why I auditioned for it.
How many times did you appear?
2 times I won. The 3rd time I lost. You people probably saw that one. You know I shouldn't have lost. And I want your letters telling me that I shouldn't have lost, because I can't sleep at night now. And then I went on, I made it to the semifinals, and probably this is dated, so if I say anything about that, it's going to screw everything up.
Well, then we won't do that. Let's talk about some of the places you've worked, though. You've been around the country a couple of times, I guess.
I just came back from Atlantic City at the Tropicana at the Comedy Stop, and I go right after the first of the year. I go to Iowa and Arlington, Texas. I'm booked right now almost all the way through next year, 1988. In December, I have dates already. So the career, I now can concentrate on just doing comedy and magic. TV, man, when you're working and you're trying to develop TV, you have to really, you have to pay attention, and you have to really, I don't know, you have to always be using your head. And I like to rest and relax my mind quite a bit.
TV can eat you alive, though.
It's very stressful, that TV stuff, man, because most of the time you only get one shot, and you have to do it right, you know. I'm pleased with what happened on Star Search, so I'm ready to go back. I learned from that, and I'm ready now to go back to my home ground and start developing even more, creating more now. I feel like I can create more. I'm a more viable person now. I had to really criticize myself to go on that show. Things I wanted to say and do and how I wanted to look. I had to really make judgments, because you're on TV. 20 million people are seeing you. You hope they like you, you know, without having to pay you.
Can you be your own best critic?
Yeah, I think you can. Deep down in your heart, you know if you're being a screwball, if you're doing something and you mean it. Sure,
How about friends? Can you trust them?
You can fool the public, but you can't fool yourself.
Do you have friends who also critique your work?
Too many friends who critique my work.
Oh, really? And you're going to issue notice to them right now that you don't want them to do that anymore.
God, well, no, I don't mind. I don't mind the constructive criticism, but now I've really made up my mind that I'm going to make my own decisions now. I have allowed other people to influence me, and it wasn't a bad thing, but it wasn't. Now I look back on it, you know, I can still throw the blame off on somebody else, and I want to just be able to blame me if something goes wrong.
I understand we're going to see a compilation tape of whole bunch of
a compilation tape.
A compilation tape.
So if you have kids, send them to their rooms. You don't want them to see this.
Michael Finney, take a look at this.
This is a piece of rope. This is the left end here, the right end here, and down here is the middle. Bring the middle up here. What's right here? Sides.
Right.
What a brilliant young lady. Take the scissors, cut them. Be ready at all times, ma'am. This piece of rope is cut right in half, equal the top and the bottom. Just trim them so they're the same length. They've got to be the same length. I'm sure you understand that. This piece of rope is now cut equal the top and equal down. Okay, ma'am, you're starting to piss me off. This piece of rope is now cut equal to the top and the bottom. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just graduated from the Mark Wilson School for Magicians. It was either that or hotel management. You bring the end of A to the top of A, you bring the end of B to the top of B. You with me so far? Yes. You bring the middle of A side over B side, the middle of B side over D side, bring down pi angle Q, C side, C flipping off the left wrist in the right hand, acute angle C in less than 6 seconds.
Would you say that again?
Okay. This is a piece of rope. This is the left end, this is the right end, and down here is the... What I want you to do is examine those cards, make sure it's just a normal, ordinary deck. Then what I want you to do is pull out any card at random. Either your favorite card or your favorite card, but just one card. Great. Is this the missus right here? Girlfriend. Charmed, I'm sure. What I want you to do is hand her the rest of the deck. She's probably never played with a big deck. Now, look at that one hand. I'm impressed. Now, what I'm going to do is turn my head for just a brief moment. As I do so, I want you to show that card to just as many people as still interested in my first trick, okay? Please hurry. This is going to be a festive evening, I can tell. Now, here comes the hard part. What I want you to do is concentrate on that card, and as you're concentrating on that card, well, I too will be concentrating on that card. So at the same time, there's going to be a tremendous amount of mind waves going back and forth. You know, one of us could get hurt. See, timing is very important. You wait, the laughs have got to come. But just so as to something shouldn't go wrong, because I'm a person that hates to deal with invariables, I want you to take that card, stick it back in this deck, anywhere at random. Hey, did you stick it in yet? Yeah. Oh, I bet you heard that before, huh? Okay. Here we go. Hey, I wouldn't laugh. I'll find it. Actually, this is just a cheap trick, and I only do it for the cheap laughs, and you folks have been very gracious. So now that I have you just whipped up into a frenzy, my, oh my, what do you say we continue on with this carnival-like atmosphere? Just proving the point that magic doesn't have to be amazing to be fun. Now, when I snap my fingers, your eyes will open. You will awaken from your trance, concentrating on this deck of cards, thumbing through them one at a time until you find your card. You hand it to me, I give you back your $40. You go merrily on your way, okay? Okay. Open your eyes, thumb through there, show me the card, give you back the $40. How long have you been in the auto sales? Long time? 14 years. Guess you got to be able to know a part just by looking at it. If it's Ford, Chevy, something like that. This wasn't it here, was it?
I only sell Cadillac parts. No, that wasn't.
That was still. Maybe you went past it. $40. I don't care. I'll keep shit. Is that it right there?
No.
Keep looking, man. Is that it there? Shoot. What about this one here? Was that it? Did it look like this one here?
No.
Shoot. $40. Goes a long ways these days, doesn't it? I might have gone past it. Keep looking. Let me have a couple of these. Was that it there?
No.
Shoot. What about this one? Are we getting closer?
Closer.
Yeah, real close, huh? What about this one here?
What are you hoping to do now that you've done Star Search? You've got all these dates coming up. What's your goal here?
Oh, to add more tapes to my compilation that I already have. You know, did you folks enjoy that? That was about a minute's worth of the best stuff I've ever done in my life. Star Search, I got my AFTRA card, which means now legally I can do commercials for other companies who might be looking for some local talent, cheap, and I can do it legally now. So I can do acting, I can go into comedy, sitcoms, things like that. I can now try to go and do more other things, you know. I would like to do that. You know, what the heck? I wanted to just do magic. And then I just wanted to do comedy. Now the sky's the limit. If you can dream it, you could do it.
And you're going to do it.
I'm trying. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. And life's been good to me so far.
Good for you. Michael Finney, thanks for being with us on Backstage Pass.
Thank you very, very much. I had a good time.
Enjoyed it.
Good night.
Michael Finney. And stay right there. We'll be right back on Backstage Pass. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for being with us. I'm Tom Leykis, and be sure to tune in next time for another Backstage Pass. On behalf of all the crew here at Backstage Pass, thanks for tuning in.
By the way, if anyone's interested in a watch, I will have a fine selection in the lobby after tonight's program. Come take a look. It might be something you used to like a lot. I notice there's a lot of people drinking out here, and I'll tell you what, a lot of times you go out with like 6 or 8 people, even-numbered couples. You're sitting at a dinner restaurant, everybody's ordered a round of drinks, they're eating appetizers. Ultimately, someone will turn to somebody at the table and go, "Could I have a sip of your drink?" I personally hate that. I hate that to no end because those people are cheap. I said, buy your own drink you want to drink. Don't be drinking from mine. But then they think you're rude and you don't want to share. So to avoid this whole situation, the next time you go out and you order a drink, follow in this fashion upon receiving your drink. Sure, man, take a big drink. My name is Michael Finney. Thank you all very, very much.